Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eric and I like to read, and today I'm going to be going over books that I have read that have LGBTQ plus rep in them. So these are all books that have LGBTQ plus rep in them, and I'm excited to share this with you because we are in the middle of Pride Month. So if you're looking for a book that celebrates Pride in itself, then these books would fall into that category, and I think you would find great enjoyment in reading these ones. So I'm gonna dive into it and just share. I pulled a pile here from my bookshelves, so I got a bunch to show with you guys, and yeah, they're all physical books. I have a bunch more ebooks that I could recommend, so if you want more recommendations after this video, then hit me up and I will share some of my ebook recommendations as well. So I'll start off with graphic novels. The first one is obviously Heartstopper. This is super popular right now, which is amazing. I'm glad it's getting all the popularity because it deserves it. This is such an adorable graphic novel series about two boys that fall in love in school, and it literally warms my heart, and it's just so beautiful. And now that it's a Netflix show, I feel like the whole cast was perfectly casted for it. So it's just chef's kiss. So this is like obviously my choice number one. Then also a graphic novel is Check Please. And so this is following Eric Biddle, aka Biddy. He is joined on a hockey team, but he's also like a baker, and it's his passion to bake, really. And he used to figure skate, but he kind of like transferred that over into hockey so that he could get a scholarship at the college. And so it's him kind of exploring himself, his sexuality, being in like a team dynamic setting, and going from there. And there's only 2 volumes of this. This is volume 1, and then there's volume 2. So each volume follows 2 years in school. So you kind of get like his whole school journey. And yeah, it's a really beautiful series. I adored it. And so if you want like a quick fun read, that's what this is. Then jumping into books, I have a whole pile here, so I'm going to go through them all. First one I have is Crier's War. And so this, I would say, is female fantasy. I like to say this is like a blend of like fantasy and sci-fi because they're dealing with this race called the Autome, and so they're kind of like half robots, half humans. They have to live by ingesting this thing called Hearthstone. And so the humans kind of like help mine the Hearthstone to give to them so that they can live. The Autome are kind of like taken over, and so they're kind of like the higher up people that kind of control the humans. And well, I wouldn't say control. They like live alongside the humans, but they have like a power over them kind of thing. And so this is following the story of one girl named Ayla and one girl named Crier. Crier is an Autome, and Ayla is kind of, I think Ayla works in the castle that Crier lives in. And so it's the story of them kind of meeting each other and going from there. I don't want to say too much more. This is a duology. They're both very stunning covers, very shiny. I adore this series. I thought it was so good, and I really think that other people will like it as well, especially if you're like a fantasy buff and you want LGBTQ plus rep in it as well. This is what you would like. Continuing on the fantasy train, I have Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. So this one is following a trans main character, and so they are trying to prove to their family that they can be, I believe it's called a bruja, which is essentially a person that helps spirits pass on to the afterlife. So they'll like find wandering spirits, and they're like that connection to help them get through to the next stage. And so it is kind of like only the men in the family can do this. And so the main character of this book is showing that they also can do it. Even though they're trans, like they can be a bruja. And yeah, it was really cool. It was like a murder mystery kind of style book, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I think a lot of you guys would enjoy this too. Also still kind of on the fantasy train is Under the Whispering Door. I actually read this one as part of the Phase and Gaze book club. So yeah, I guess I have lots of recommendations from that book club alone, but this is following Wallace, who is kind of like a Scrooge in his life, and then he ends up passing on to the afterlife. And so he goes to this place, which is kind of like a tea shop in the woods, and this tea shop is supposed to be the place that helps him pass on to the afterlife. There's a man that works at the tea shop. I can't remember his name right now. I want to say Hector, but I feel like that's wrong. Anyways, and so he is kind of like it's kind of like the same situation as in Cemetery Boys. He helps ghosts pass on to the afterlife. And so Wallace doesn't feel like his life is resolved, and so he gets granted like a week to kind of resolve what was left in his life and kind of get a conclusion, I guess, and then pass on to the afterlife after that week is up. And so this book is following him throughout those 7 days, kind of figuring out like what happened in his life, where he went wrong, and kind of just adjusting. Yeah, so there's that one, and I think a lot of you might like this. If you like A Christmas Carol or Scrooge, like it's a very similar concept, so I think you would enjoy it. Then more on the sci-fi end, we have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Now, if you don't want to cry, maybe don't read this book because this book will hit you right in the feels. You fall for these characters so fast, and then things happen. So the premise of this one is essentially people will get a phone call from, I think it's like a thing called like the Death Network, and they'll tell you that you're going to die at the end of the day, or at some point during this day you're going to die. And so there's another thing called like Last Friend, where people can find one friend to kind of connect with on their last day on Earth. And so I think it's Mateo. I know Mateo. Cue the cat. Mateo and somebody else. I'm really bad at remembering character names. But anyways, there's the two boys that connect through this app. And so they become friends throughout the day, potentially even more than that. And it kind of follows their journey after finding out that they both got the same phone call that they're going to die at some point today. So yeah, this one is intense. And yeah, so like I think any of you guys would like this. It has like that sci-fi twist, but it's also mainly a contemporary. So yeah, I think you guys will enjoy it. Then I also have Release by Patrick Ness. And yes, this is how it goes. You can go like this to see the actual look of it. But so Release is about, it's following two different perspectives. One is following the perspective of a ghost in this small town. And the other perspective is a boy who is gay, and he lives in a very like religious family. I think his dad is actually the pastor. And so it's kind of like him dealing with being gay in a religious family. And then the ghost, their perspective is they're trying to figure out kind of like what happened to them and how they became a ghost. And so that is what this book is about. This is actually, I think, one of the first like LGBTQ plus books that I've ever read. And so I think it just holds a place in my heart because it was one of those first ones. But I do really enjoy this book. And yeah, I would say it's more like of a contemporary style. So if that's the kind of book you like, then this would probably be one you would enjoy. Then my last three books are contemporary books. So I'm just going to go into those. Obviously, the first one is Love, Simon, or Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. This is just, yeah, like everybody knows this book. This is the like gay book, if I could say that. So this is following Simon, who is gay in high school, but he like has not come out to anybody. And so he ends up starting to email this guy that he doesn't know who it is. It's just a person that he starts emailing, and he reveals that he is also another gay student at the school, but they are not out either. Now, Simon accidentally leaves his email open because he was using it in the library, and another character named Martin finds that email and decides to blackmail Simon so that he can get Simon to help him go on a date with one of Simon's friends, or he's going to tell everybody that Simon's gay. And so it's following that storyline. This is a beautiful book, very beautiful. I bonded over it with Marcus. We made Oreo cheesecake because of things that happen in this book. And it's a beautiful story. The movie was made. The movie was also really well done. I still tear up watching that movie. Like it's so cute. And yeah, so if you haven't read this book yet, you should definitely check it out. Also following on those lines, just a quick one is Leah and the Offbeat. I just finished this one. I'm actually reading it for my June TBR. And this one is following Leah, which is the best friend of Simon. And Leah is bisexual, but she's also not out. So it's kind of like following her and being bisexual in high school without anybody knowing yet. So kind of a similar story, just a different perspective. Then we have Will Grayson, and so this is by John Green, which is one of the first like writers that really like captured me in high school, because I don't know, I read The Fault in Our Stars and then immediately bought the rest of his books. So this one is actually my favorite of his, though. This is actually following two characters that are both named Will Grayson, and they end up connecting somehow, but they bond over the fact that they have the same name. And then one of them is gay. I don't believe the other one is, but they just kind of like help each other get through different situations in life. This one has a big musical aspect to it. So if you like musicals and like singing and dance and theater, this one might be for you. It was a lot of fun, and I think that if you like John Green's writing, then you will like this one. And then the last one I have on my list is Camp by L.C. Rosen. So this is following the story of a main character who has been going to this LGBTQ plus camp for a couple summers now. I don't know how many summers, but anyways, they decided that this year they're going to present themselves as very like masculine, because they're not normally super masculine, and they want to get the attention of this other boy at the camp who is only into masculine guys. And so they kind of give themselves like a whole transformation to go to camp this year and start pulling it off, hitting it off with this guy. This guy does not realize that this is a camper that has also been at the camp 4 years like before this. And so it's just kind of like the story of this character kind of like changing themselves to have somebody else like them, and a lot of like self-discovery about who they are and what they deserve out of life. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I also have like a really strong love for one of the side characters in this book. His name is George. It's the main character's best friend. I adore George. So yeah, if you read this, let me know what you think of George. And that's it for my recommendations. I have a bunch more on ebooks that I have read, so like if you want more recommendations, let me know and I can give them to you. But anyways, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of my recommendations. Also, if you have other ones, put them in the description down below, because I'm always down to read more of these books. If you guys want to support me, I have a Patreon and a Ko-fi page, which I'll put in the description down below, as well as linked by my bookmarks. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so you get notified when I post new videos. I post my videos on Mondays and Thursdays. And until next time, keep on reading.